First and foremost, just welcome. This is the Q&A for the Pennsylvania Fish and Hang, and it's going to be in Port Matilda, and it is May 26th through the 28th. So we have a lot to cover. We're going to go through intros and all the things. So I'll just get started here. As far as introductions goes, my name is Heather Hodson. I'm founder of United When the Fly, as well as Fly Fish Instruct. I go by the pronouns of she, her, hers, and I live in the native lands of Spokane, Washington. And I am really excited for this Pennsylvania event. The last time I was in Pennsylvania, I broke my arm. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. But, you know, it was just fun to see how beautiful it was. And I'm really excited to see Central PA and fish in Central PA. And yeah, I'm happy to meet you all, and I can't wait to be there. And Kelley.
Hi, everyone. Welcome tonight. I'm so excited for this event to kick off here next month. I am originally from the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area. I am part of the team on United Women on the Fly, on the leadership team representing here on the East Coast. And then also locally, I'm founder of Lancaster Fly Girls. So I'm going to be co-hosting this event with Heather, and I'm so excited for all of you to come to Central Pennsylvania and fish. It's going to be awesome.
That it will. And Ashley?
Hi, everyone. I'm also very excited for this event. So I'm here just to, provide as much information as I can. I live in Bellefonte. Spring Creek is my home waters, and Bald Eagle Creek that everyone will be staying at. I've fished there lots of times and a lot of nice fishing there, so should be fun. But yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions, and I'm just here to help and be available and share as much information as I can.
Cool. And Jamie.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Very similar to Ashley, I also live in Bellefonte. Bald Eagle and Spring Creek are my home waters, but as you guys know, there are so many world-class trout streams here in central Pennsylvania. You can throw a rock in any direction and kind of hit one. So Ashley and myself, we both fish that water up there quite a bit, and we're familiar with Bald Eagle, especially that section that you guys will be staying on. So any advice you guys need, please feel free to let us know. We'll be glad to help you out.
Awesome. And kind of the whole idea behind this fish and hang, it actually originated about almost 7 years ago, when the first one was on the Missouri River, and we did them for about 3 years in a row. The sleepy town of Craig, Montana, on the Mo, as most of you all probably know of it. And it's kind of a really fun format. It's a format where we're trying to make it as budget friendly as we can. The Pennsylvania one's a little unique because you all are so blessed to have, this area has this incredible place that we all can stay for pretty inexpensive, and including food. And most places don't have this. So this is a little bit more unique as far as others go. But the whole idea is that where anglers are going to go out, they're going to fish during the day, and then we come back, we get together in the evenings, we hang out, and we just tell fish tales and do all of that and just build that community. And one of the biggest things for us that's really important is just supporting and empowering women, and especially the local women in the area. So Ashley and Jamie, thank you so much for being on here. And it's really cool for me to see. I guide in Washington, and it's really cool for me to see other women guides, because then it shows, hopefully that'll show that, if a woman sees another woman guide, then they may also want to pursue that career. So to me, it's really cool to see that as well. Really the idea behind the fish and hang is our dear friend, Rachel Finn. I'm sure some of y'all know her. She lives in New York. She's an incredible human. That's her slogan is it's all about the hang. And so that's kind of where all of this has come from. And this was in Lancaster when we were there in November fishing and just having a good time. And that's really what it's going to be all about this weekend. As far as location goes, I know most of you are probably fairly familiar with where Port Matilda is, close to State College, just kind of right in the central portion of Pennsylvania. We wouldn't be doing anybody justice if we didn't give a land acknowledgement. And so where we're going to be in Port Matilda is in the Shawnee and the Ohio Valley tribes, that area. And, I oftentimes, or whenever I'm traveling, I'm always trying to see, okay, who were the first people that were on this land? So I encourage everyone to just go out and do a little bit of research and just learn the history of the land that we're actually on. As far as Central PA goes, so, as Ashley and Kelley and Jamie all said, it is home to some of the best fly fishing in the nation. So we're all very lucky to be able to go out there and fish it, and pretty cool that we can be in one location and have so many options to fish around the area. And I've actually never personally fished there. So once we get into the fishing portion, I'll let the experts take it away from me. But I'm really excited to hear and learn more about that as well. Location goes, so again, central in the heart of Pennsylvania. We're going to be meeting in Port Matilda. So Godspeed Events and Lodging, and it's 5-star rustic lodging for sure. Travel, so pretty, actually it's pretty close. I'll be flying out of Pittsburgh, so it's only a 3-hour drive. So all in all, it's pretty close to some major airports. Harrisburg and PA were kind of the closest ones that I found. Area resources, and kind of, Kelley, would you mind just talking a little bit about the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission? I know you've been doing a lot with them, and just kind of that resource that is available for anybody coming into Pennsylvania.
Sure. Definitely log on to the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, their homepage. They also have an app, but there's a lot of really great resources and interactive maps that are free for you to use, where you can check out the areas and check out the trout streams. In addition to that, Keystone Fly Fishing. Can you see this?
Yep.
This book is an ultimate guide. It's like the PA Bible of Pennsylvania fly fishing. So check this book out. You might be able to see it at some of your local shops in the area, or get it online, but it has so much information. Also a little controversial, maybe Jamie and Ashley can speak to that, as far as just, it's so good. So definitely check that out if you're not familiar to the area. Lastly, one of the things that we actually just had a training on today, Heather and I did, and that is the Trout Routes app. The Trout Routes app, it's an app that you can get on your smartphone. You can download it. It has a lot of really cool capabilities. One of them being actually too, if you have the pro version, which is paid for, you can download some mapping. So if you're going to be in some of the areas that have not great service, you can download those maps ahead of time. So with the Trout Routes app, the Fly Fishing Book, and Pennsylvania Fish and Boat, there's going to be a ton of information that you can get, and will really help you on your DIY fishing in central Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Yeah, the Trout Routes, we did this training and it was pretty incredible to see. It'll even show you what's private, what's public, and all of the different, access points. And it even rates the different rivers based on gold, 1, 2, or 3, and kind of where the fishing is. Gives you gauge stations so you can look at flows, also temperatures. It's pretty incredible. So great resource for everybody as well. We do have a Facebook group. I'm sure all of you are probably in it, but feel free to join it. It's just specifically for the Pennsylvania Fish and Hang event. So you can join that, and it's the link is on the website, the Fish and Hang for Pennsylvania. If you're not already signed up for the email list, feel free to sign up. So it's on our Eventbrite, and you can just sign up. And basically what it'll do is it'll just I'll be sending out emails kind of as we get closer to it. Also, if we'll be putting stuff in Facebook as well. So you can get the information either in the Facebook and or through the emails. United Way to Fly hats. So one of the ways that we are trying to cover some of the costs in order to offer these very budget friendly and inexpensive weekends is to sell a little swag. So we have United Way to Fly hats, and all of the proceeds will go back to the direct cost of actually putting on this event. So I live in Spokane, Washington, so it's a bit of some travel for me to get there. But again, we want to make sure that, we are offering fly fishing that's accessible and affordable to all. And that is definitely our mission. And so this is one way for you to help us as well. The I Fish, I Belong t-shirts, the sale already stopped just because I had to order all of the t-shirts because I'm hitting the road on May 3rd. So I'll be gone for a month. But I ordered plenty of extra shirts so that I'm sure there'll be something there if it's something that you'd like. Eventbrite here. So this is how you can sign up for your email. So if you were to go back into the Eventbrite, and I'm going to be sending out a link. Once I upload this recorded version, we'll also have a clickable PDF with all of the links to this presentation for you all. And so you can sign up if you're not already signed up there. Also, if you are joining your local and you're not going to be staying, there is an option for you to buy dinner. And so you can just come for Saturday night dinner if you don't want to be, or if you're local and you don't need lodging. And really, why did we select May for the event? A couple of reasons. The fishing can be really good. And also I'm on this East Coast road trip. So you all will be my fourth week, my fourth event, and the end of that entire road trip. And so it's nice to be able to combine and compile it all. And that's, so the fishing as well as just dates, that's the way that it worked out. So our itinerary, oh my gosh, we have a lot going on. So Friday morning from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have an independent angler workshop. So I will be teaching that, and then Kelley will be co-instructing that with me. It's a 4-hour workshop. Basically, it's trying to give you the knowledge and the confidence to become confident and competent on the water. I just redid my book, so you will receive that full workbook, 70 pages of all the information as far as becoming a better angler and becoming more independent. And then check-in will be at 4 p.m. So if you're going to be checking in for lodging, come in at 4, and then we're going to have a happy hour connection and dinner at 6 p.m. on Friday. Friday will be sponsored by Precision Fly Fishing, and they're a fly shop. Kelley, where are they out of? Are they Lancaster?
Yeah, they're out of the Lancaster area, but also Mount Holly as well. And then they have a shop also down in Maryland.
Awesome. And they've been really supportive, very supportive of women. And, that's something obviously that we appreciate. And so we're happy for their sponsorship and their support as well. So Saturday, DIY fishing. And so basically, as I mentioned, everyone goes out during the day. We can all kind of chat and talk about where people are going. You'll want to make sure you're looking, or at least download the PA Commission, the Boat and Commission app, kind of get an idea before you come down of where you might want to fish. Also utilize the Facebook group too and be like, hey, I'm a single, I'm coming down by myself. Does anybody want to go out and fish? That's kind of organically, that's kind of how all of this works out. So we'll come home in the evening. We're going to have a Saturday dinner, and it sounds like an iron fly contest. If you all are interested and want to test your fly tying skills. And if you haven't ever tied flies, that's even better, because then your fly's probably it's gonna be more amazing, and hopefully we'll catch a fish. So anything to add, Kelley, about the iron fly competition?
Yeah, it's really just, it's just a fun event. It's a fun team building type event or community event. Typically you end up with a fly that you would actually never fish, and it's just going to look probably ridiculous, but that's the goal, is just to make it really fun. So it's obviously optional to participate if you want to do it or not, but it could be a really, really fun event. I've done it with another women's group, and we just had a ball, and it was a lot of fun. So I hope that everyone.
I think we should have a prize if you catch a fish.
Oh yeah.
We'll figure something out.
There will definitely be some of that. A lot of shenanigans go on an iron fly, so be prepared.
You might be blindfolded. Your hands might be tied to somebody else. It's a lot of fun. You have to go find any material to use. So we'll figure out all the rules and the fun with that. And breakfast and dinners are included. So breakfast on Saturday morning, breakfast on Sunday are both included. And then we have to check out by noon. So some of you may want to stay, and fish on Sunday afternoon. Awesome. We'll be out there. We'll be fishing as well. And so, yeah, that's kind of the weekend itinerary. Friday evening, as I mentioned, we'll have this happy hour. It's going to be pizza, some beverages. And definitely one thing to note about food, and I think there's a slide for this in the future, but we are going to have a snack table. So if you want to bring some snacks, just throw it on the table. This is totally optional, but kind of a fun way to munch if you need to. Also, just bringing any of your own beverages as well. And as I mentioned, dinner and breakfasts are included within your cost of the lodging, but lunches are not. So there is, and I'll get to the next slide, but there is a kind of deli that's fairly close. So Saturday evening, we have the iron fly competition, and then we're going to be doing dinner. Check-in, as I mentioned, 4 p.m. If you're checking in after 5:30, which I guess it doesn't really matter on this point because we'll be there anyways to help get everybody checked in. We have cabanas and we have different bunkhouses, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Well, I'll talk about right now. So as far as lodging goes, again, this is 5-star rustic. So we have 12 total cabanas. We have 2 of those available, and then we still have a few bunkhouse spots available as well. So basically your cabana, it's a private room. It includes a queen size bed, a futon, a fan, bottled water, and then your bunkhouse is going to be, it's less expensive, and it's going to be in a group with other women as well. So here's a look at what the cabana looks like, and then the bunkhouses. We do have showers. So all of the showers are private showers. They're all very clean. I believe they have shampoo, conditioner, and soap in there. And then all of your linens are provided as well. Anything to add, Kelley, or anyone, Jamie or Ashley, that you all have been there before?
Yeah, so when Heather said that this was, 5-star rustic, camping, she wasn't joking. I mean, like, the food there is great. Highly recommend the food. They do a great job with that. Everything's super clean. Yeah, the bathrooms are outdoors, but again, they're clean, and we've never had any issues with that.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And just to note too, the showers, they're all individual stalls. So you go in and you have your own private room to shower, and there's enough room to change as well. Same thing with the toilet areas. They're all individual as well. So it does give you a sense to have that privacy should you need it, because some people will be staying in the bunkhouses. So it's a really nice option. And like Jamie just said, when I was there last year, I was super impressed at how clean everything was. And actually, the food actually was very, very well done as also. Bart, who runs this facility, is really a great guy, and he's really trying to customize this for us as much as possible. So I'm very excited to be back going there this year as well.
Cool. Yeah, he's been very, very accommodating. And I'll send out a questionnaire, a survey, to make sure that if anybody has any allergies or some food restrictions. So we'll get that and let him know ahead of time. So you'll be seeing a survey probably come out in the next couple of weeks, as well as, a lot of us, I'll be bringing a ton of equipment and gear down with me. I know that Kelley has a bunch as well. So if you need to borrow any fly rods, reels, lines, that is covered for sure. So we have equipment that can be borrowed over the weekend as well. Meals we already talked about, but so the deli gas station, so it's not too far away, has sandwiches, subs, salads, all kinds of things. And then there's a grocery about 12 minutes away. So you're close to food as far as for lunches as well. And then, camping as well. So there are a few campgrounds in the area. So let's say that, because we are trying to make this as accessible and as affordable as possible. And, still, even though lodging and meals for $250 could be too much socioeconomically. And so there are some campgrounds in the area as well. So we want everyone to come. We don't want it to be a limitation. So please just reach out to me or to Kelley. And there's, like I said, there's these campsites that are listed, and then we can work something out with dinner for Saturday night as well. Because we want you there. We want everyone there. Education, talked about the independent angler course. It's a phenomenal course. And I guarantee we spend about 35% of the time on casting. So pick up, lay down, roll casting. I know there's a lot of focus on roll casting, shooting your line with roll casting, side-armed roll casting on a horizontal plane, just because, in a lot of these areas that we're fishing, it's not like out west where I live, where I have all the room in the world to cast and pick up. We don't have that where we're going to be, more than likely. So we'll be doing a lot of roll casting practice as far as accuracy and all of that goes. DIY fishing. So again, as mentioned, this whole weekend is DIY. It's not hosted by your co-host. So we're there to help provide information, and we want to provide the resources. That's a big part of what tonight's Q&A session is. And utilize that Facebook group for sure. Reach out to the four of us to talk more about any questions you might have as far as the fishing goes. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the area, some specific flies, and also some leader suggestions as well. I'm going to eventually hand this over, but one thing I will say that is, if you go onto our website, so the website is the UWOTF.com Fish and Hang Pennsylvania. You go there and you'll see that there's a couple of spots on the website that has a clickable button that says weekend details, fishing and packing list. So that would be a great suggestion to just click on it. It's going to be a PDF. And what I'll do is I'll make sure that there's a link to this whole presentation in that as well. But click on it and either print it out or at least have it downloaded, screenshot it, whatever. So you have all of the information, because everything that we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be listed in that as well. So just another resource way that we can help share that education. And Kelley, I'm going to let you just start taking it over if that's okay.
Sure. Well, we kind of already talked about some of this, so I don't want to maybe rehash it, but there's a lot of information online, but definitely, again, go back to the PA Fish and Boat interactive maps. You're going to see trout stream maps. You'll also see warm water species on there. It'll share a lot about the top fishing locations. And then I just threw in there a podcast with Joe Humphreys. So who wouldn't want to hear about Joe Humphreys fishing Spring Creek? So definitely give that all a look. Are you going to move the slide, Heather? Thank you.
Yep.
Fishing license, definitely make sure that you have a Pennsylvania fishing license. And if you're going to be targeting trout, which I imagine most of you will be, you're going to need a trout permit as well.
And I did want to mention that you don't need to display your licenses in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
A screenshot on your phone is fine. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of weird how some states want you to print it out. And it's like, if I'm traveling, I don't have a printer, so that's a good tip.
Yeah.
So the trout permit, I'll make sure that that's added onto everything as well, to make sure that we have that listed. So perfect.
And Jamie and Ashley, just hop in here. Jamie, I loved how you just did that.
Yes.
The three of us can team up here and get this all done.
Yep.
Regulations, again, through Pennsylvania Fish and Boat. All the details are going to be in this document here. So definitely take a look and peruse through it. Is there anything, Jamie and Ashley, as guides you'd like to talk about as far as regulations?
Well, we're pretty much in trout season right now. So, everywhere's pretty, everywhere is accessible and open to fishing.
Right.
I don't really have anything. Ashley, do you?
No, I guess I'm kind of assuming that everyone's fly fishing, but
Mhm.
if you want to bring along some spin gear, some other stuff, like there are some sections that are fly fishing only, and we can, let you know where those sections are. But besides that, no, everything's open right now.
Cool. And I think one of the biggest things too is just regulations obviously are there to protect the fisheries. So this is something where everyone just has to put in a little extra work and just know the regulations. I will say, being a Keep Fish Wet ambassador and working on some curriculum right now with them, is that the number one cause of injury is from hooks. So one caution and one thought is just, if you are going to be practicing catch and release, just be mindful and just think about pinching the barb. In most locations, it is barbless, I would assume, for a lot of the regulations. But if you are choosing to fish and release, your fish, and if hook injuries are the number one injury, just pinch the barb, so plus it tests your skill a little bit more if you can bring them in without a barb. So just something to be mindful and caring with the fish. Also clean your gear. I love, Kelley, how you added this. Clean your boots, your waders, especially if you're going from different bodies of water. You just want to make sure there are no hitchhikers as far as invasive species go. Bleach water, even just soapy water, and leaving them out in the sun a lot of times will help with that as well. So
I've got something to add to that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
So the aquatic hitchhikers, Jamie, feel free to jump in. I know you deal with this too, but so we have something called the New Zealand mud snail, and these little things are everywhere in Spring Creek. And so as far as we know, they're in the Spring Creek watershed, and which Bald Eagle Creek, which goes by Godspeed. Since it's connected to Spring Creek, they can assume that it's also there. But if you do decide to go to like Little J or Penns Creek, definitely make sure. So this is where it gets tough, because you have to use a special degreaser to actually kill them. It's a 409 degreaser, and it's not just like the regular degreaser that you can get off the shelf in the store. It's like a high powered kind of degreaser. I have a bunch. I'm happy to bring that. I have like gallons of it from a past event. People are welcome to use, and you've got to use real hot water and wash them with that. Usually what I do, I think the easiest and fastest, is that I have multiple pairs of boots, or also I'll freeze my boots. So like, I feel bad for my roommates because they come home and they open up the freezer and like my dirty boots are shoved in there because I'm gone fishing in New York next weekend, But so if there is like a chest freezer at Godspeed, I'm not sure if there is or not, but that would be a really easy way for everybody just to freeze their boots at night. As long as it gets 8 hours of being frozen, then that'll kill all the mud snails. But yeah, I'm happy to talk more about that if anybody has any more questions, but it is definitely a very serious thing, unfortunately, here.
Yeah, and we could I'd be more than happy to purchase some of that from you too, so we can have it, and have it available for everyone. I think that's a really good idea. Plus, just think of the photo we can get of a bunch of frozen boots in a chest freezer.
It's great.
No,
like some of the best things, when I put my boots in there and they're still wet, like the laces tend to get frozen in whatever position that you put them in. So you pull your boots out and the laces are like sticking up in the air. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll talk offline with you, Ashley, about that and bringing some of that in. That'd be great. So thank you. Yeah. Cool. All right, Kelley, guide options.
Yeah, guide options. Well, tonight we have Ashley Wilmont. I'm going to brag about her for a little bit because Ashley is on Team USA fly fishing. So she's been out there this past year competing, and hopefully she'll share a little bit about that, but that's super exciting. And then we have Jamie here tonight, also a former competitive fly angler as well. And I got to fish a little bit with Jamie on Spring Creek a few weeks ago. Both these women are phenomenal, and, definitely look into hiring them as the guide for this weekend or future weekends. And then we've listed here some others that are also in the area, but aren't with us tonight. So there are some other resources you can reach out if you choose to have a guide for the weekend.
Yeah, and that's an option. Or if you're coming back into the area, definitely look up Ashley and Jamie for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Fish species, we have the brook trout, the brown trout, the rainbow trout, bass. We have both largemouth and smallmouth in the central PA area, and as well as panfish. So if you're not interested in doing any wading, you can definitely hit some of those state parks and some of those lakes for panfish as well.
Cool.
Equipment, looking at, I'll probably be bringing my 9-foot 5-weight for the most part. It's kind of a great all around rod, as well as I'll probably be bringing my Euro rod, which is a 3-weight. But you're going to use your typical floating lines. Your leaders are going to be 9-foot, approximately 5X. And then other things to have along with you, of course, safety, just some first aid kit, always have some water and snacks with you. a change of clothes in case you take a swim. Hopefully no one takes a swim, and a waiting staff. And I want to note here too, a waiting staff. I just used one actually for the first time myself last week. I was on Pens. I could not have done it without a waiting staff. So if you're going to be fishing some of those bigger waters and you're going to hit Pens, I can't recommend enough. Please have a waiting staff or some other support, whether it's an old ski pole or something that's going to help aid you in the water when wading up there. Also too, studded boots, extremely important, at least in that body of water. Jamie and Ashley might be able to share more there as far as some of the other waterways that would be critical for. But me personally, I felt like it was super important for Pens.
I agree. Pens, you have to have them.
Yeah.
Spring Creek, you'll be okay. Where you guys are fishing on Bald Eagle or where you're staying, you're fine without them.
And is felt legal or illegal?
Legal, but frowned upon.
Right.
That's a good way to put it, Jamie.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Yeah. And clothing, always bring a rain jacket, even though it's the summer, always bring a rain jacket, because hypothermia is real and it actually happens in the summer. That's the number one time is when it happens, is actually in the summer. Dress in layers. Of course, I've fallen in the water more times than I'd like to admit. And bringing cold weather clothing too, like a puffy, or do you say puffer or puffy? What's the official term? Where puffy, or does it not matter?
I think in the East we call it a down jacket.
Okay.
I think puffy is more of a West Coast term, Heather.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. That's why I'm like, I was going to bring my puffy, boots, waders, and then polarized sunglasses. Can people get away with wet wading, or would you recommend that everybody has a pair of waders? Probably with different water temps and stuff. What's the suggestion there?
Okay. It might be a little too early for wet wading.
Okay, perfect.
I agree. Bring some waders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you do need, I could probably fly down an extra pair. So just anybody that needs any, just reach out to me and I can fly down a pair of boots and waders. I'm bringing a lot of luggage. So what's an extra pair of boots and waders? So, okay. Places to fish.
Yeah, there's water literally everywhere around the facility that we're going to be at. Like, I think it was Jamie says you could throw a rock and you're going to hit another stream. Definitely probably the most notable is going to be Spring Creek, Pens Creek, Fishing Creek, and the Little J. I'd like probably Jamie and Ashley to speak about some of these rivers, because this is their backyard. This is what they do every day. These are the experts. So
Sure.
if you ladies wouldn't mind maybe picking one of your favorite streams and talking about it, maybe some of the bug selection, the hatches, and then some of the favorite flies that you find are very productive on those streams.
Ashley, do you want to take one and I'll take one?
Yeah. I'll take Spring Creek if you don't mind. I live 2 miles from Spring Creek.
Go for it.
Yeah. So Spring Creek, one of the reasons why I love it so much is that it's just got such a high density of fish. So probably not going to get any like lunker or wild browns on Spring. They're in there, but a little tougher to get, but there's just high numbers of fish. Has been stocked in years and years and years. As far as insects, so the sulfurs. So definitely make sure you've got some sulfur nymphs. And then so for dry flies, a lot of people just throw regular sulfur dries, but just my favorite is like a CDC comparadon. And that works really well. I think it's just a little more subtle. And then I only fish 7X on Spring Creek. It's just, the size of the fish, 7X works well. And but sulfur. So then also scuds and crest bugs. So like you'll probably be able to see if you fish Spring Creek, if you flip a rock over, it's just crawling with like scuds, crest bugs, this type of like crustaceans. So anything like that, those flies will work really well. And then also just, your standard junk flies. So I don't fish squirmings anymore because you can't fish them in competition. So I just, I don't fish them for that reason, but definitely chartreuse mops, greeny weenies, chartreuse mops. So these wild browns really do like to eat like just chartreuse green. So any fly with something like that on it would work well. And just general pheasant tails with little pink or orange hotspot work well, and zebra midges. You can't go wrong on Spring Creek with just a black zebra midge. All the nymphs that I fish, you usually use tungsten beads with. But yeah, I don't want to take up too much time going into detail about them all, but feel free to send me messages. I can send you a list or send you a materials list and all that. And there's a couple fly shops in town. I used to work at Fly Fisher's Paradise just up the road, and they've got a ton of great flies. That shop has been around for 40 plus years. And so those flies have been developed for over decades. So if you need to buy some local flies, then that's a good place to go. And a lot of them are tied locally as well. But I think that's what you need to know for spring right now.
Yeah. Like Ashley said, you guys are going to be here for prime time sulfur season. I highly recommend if you guys are fishing Spring Creek and want to fish the sulfurs, it's definitely get out there at night, but get out there and find a spot on that creek and stay there because, it can be competitive. So get a spot and stay there. Nice flat water, and you're going to see truly how many fish are in Spring Creek. So Spring Creek has the most fish per mile than any other stream in Pennsylvania. Just polluted with wild brown. But bald eagle, a little bit different. So Spring Creek dumps into bald eagle in a town called Milesburg. Okay. So I like to think of bald eagle as two very different streams above Milesburg and below. So anything above Milesburg, for example, where you guys are going to be staying, there are no wild fish there. The water is just too warm. Those are all stocked fish. So you guys can throw squirmies, mops, eggs, however you guys want to catch, these stocked fish, go for it. If you guys are fishing at Milesburg and below, you're going to get into some really nice, big, wild brown trout, and also some nice holdover rainbows as well. Again, prime time sulfur season. You're going to see more bugs on bald eagle as well. Believe it or not, little black stoneflies. We may see some yellow drakes on upper bald eagle. Hard to say with the weather right now, but possibly. Okay, you can't go wrong with, any kind of caddis, blue-winged olive. It's really good fishing down there. But when in doubt, just throw a green mop, and you'll catch some fish. So if you guys need a good spot to fish, just real quick, just write down the Milesburg Community Center. That's the confluence of Spring Creek and Bald Eagle. There is a giant big hole there, super easy wading, tons of fish there. So Milesburg Community Center, there's tons of parking. You can hop right in the creek, tons of fish.
Awesome. Cool. I've actually never seen a yellow drake.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty rad to see that. We don't have them here. So, and we've no sulfurs either in this part of the country. So awesome. I knew May would be a good time.
Yeah. You guys picked a good time to come for sure.
Cool. And I love, so as far as those nymphs go, usually you prefer, I would just tungsten, like a heavier nymph versus weight, usually just to get down. You both like that best? Okay.
Beadhead nymphs for sure. And on bald eagle, I would stay away from any kind of hot spot, any kind of like real flashy stuff. These fish are smart, they're seasoned. I would just keep it as natural as possible on Spring Creek for sure.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And this is just a map that I think I just screenshotted it. So this is on the PA Boat and Commission, just the website, and it's so interactive. So you all are or Pennsylvania is so lucky as anglers to have this incredible resource. So be sure to utilize that. And again, go through all of the different places that we're listing. And what I would suggest is, within this next month, just start kind of taking peeks and looking at it, do a little bit of reports, look for fishing reports, that kind of thing, and kind of get a game plan. Post in the Facebook group and say, hey, I want to fish with, does anyone want to go out and fish, somewhere or with me or whatever. And I know that everyone will, as I mentioned, organically, it'll all come together. Anything like public versus private water that we want to talk about or suggestions? Is it posted, all of that?
Yeah, generally it's pretty posted if you're not allowed to go there, just because there's so many anglers concentrated here. Landowners are pretty aware, and you'll see a posted sign if you're not supposed to go there. If you want to head down to Spruce Creek, let us know. There's 2 public places that you can go to, but that's really it. Most of that's private. But I guess really just, if someone has a specific place that they want to go, we can kind of give them a general idea if it's open or not. For the most part, there's like almost the entire Spring Creek corridor, for the most part of it, is open. Like Fish and Boat Commission owns it, and it's open for public use.
Cool. Perfect. And hatches. So it sounds like what? Caddis, sulfurs, some drakes, and then just subsurface. Yeah. Okay.
Parachute
UWOs.
Adams. Parachute Adams is going to work.
Perfect. Cool. So again, for those of you that aren't familiar with even reading a hatch chart, feel free to reach out to all of us too. Or my suggestion is, a lot of times I'll look at this hatch chart, I'll take a peek and I'll start researching. I'll go onto Google or whatever, click on images, look at what the specific caddisfly looks like, then go into my fly box, open it up and see if I have something that looks similar. That's kind of how I go with it. Because as we all know, fly names are the artistic expression of the tire. So a lot of the fly names do not necessarily, like smoke jumper or WD-40 or whatever it might be. It's like, what does that mean? So just utilize your resources online to kind of look at that for sure. And then here's some other fly suggestions that you 3 put together. Thank you all so much for that. And again, all of this stuff will be available to you, or feel free to take a screenshot as well. And then techniques.
Yeah, so fishing techniques. Me personally, and I know Ashley and Jamie, we're all really into Euro nymphing. So anything we can help you out with there, definitely let us know. But you're gonna have dry fly fishing. You could use a dry dropper technique. A lot of subsurface right now is still, I think, predominantly what's working. Ashley and Jamie, would you agree?
Can you say that one more time?
Are you finding still that, the nymphing right now is really still what's happening? Hopefully in May hits, we'll have more dry fly action.
Yeah, if you can Euro nymph, and if you can Euro nymph well, you will consistently catch fish on Spring Creek. Yeah. Or really anywhere.
Awesome.
Also some streamer fishing also.
Cool. And then we just have a bunch of leader examples. So these are all just general ideas on how to set up specific leaders. And do know that all of the suggestions, so like 24 to 36 inches of different size tippet, that's all suggestions. So you'll see, obviously if you're fishing a larger fly, you are going to need a larger diameter tippet just to be able to turn it over, or maybe a little shorter of a leader. So again, all suggested stuff, but dry fly leaders, so just 5X or 6X leaders, and then having tippet. So it sounds like all the way up to 7X. So probably suggested to have anywhere from 3X to 7X spools of tippet as well. At least having some 6X would be a good idea. And so just your general dry fly. For me specifically, I always say fish the longest leader you can cast well. Now that's more specific to Western United States because we have the potential to be able to actually cast it. Here, sometimes that makes it a little bit harder to be casting a 20-foot dry fly leader, into a certain area. As far as a double dry fly leader, so you can do a larger dry as well as a smaller dry. The only thing I would say with this is that you are just make sure that your point fly is going to be large enough to be able to hold up or, your other fly. So you can add a dropper. So you could do a dry emerger, a wet emerger, a subsurface fly, such as some sort of a nymph, and or a smaller dry fly. So kind of a good way to do this kind of double dry fly. As far as a double dry nymph, so again, we have our point fly here, you have your dropper here. As far as knots go, do you all like on your subsurface flies a non-slip loop knot just for a little more action? Or do you have a preference on clinch, non-slip loop, or is there a different knot that you use for your subsurface flies?
I just use the Davy knot just because it's so fast and it's a much smaller profile knot.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Maybe not or improved clinch.
A non-improved. Okay, perfect. Cool. All right, good to know. So just putting those into there and having small oh my God, my brain just totally a smaller knot can be a good thing. My brain just lost it for a second. As far as wet fly, there's definitely different hatch characteristics, kind of just right at the beginning of the hatch. Not a bad idea to try to swing or add a dropper of a soft tackle. So you're mimicking that pupa slash emerger stage of a mayfly. So you can take like a 9-foot leader, just cast it down, swing it based on the water size that you're on. Or you could do a dry fly. And then as your dropper, put you can either do a beaded or an unbeaded, unweighted wet fly, which we'd call a wet emerger. And that's a great way, especially right before the height of the hatch happens. I'm a sucker for swinging wet flies. That's what I love to do. So it can be very, very, very productive. As far as subsurface fishing or different nymph leaders, so different ways that you can do it. You can have a single, you can have a double. A couple of ways that you can add that dropper fly on is either on the hook bend and or at the tag end on your different leaders. And this is just, again, suggestions, but just showing you here, where you're having your indicator. You can use an indicator, a New Zealand. Do you just use ciders, or do you use indicators, or do you use the New Zealand yarn if you're going to be using an indicator? What do you all prefer?
Yeah, just ciders, but the New Zealand strike indicator is really great, especially for Spring Creek, especially because it's a lot of like smaller, skinnier water. So that's really nice to cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't recommend a bobber on Spring Creek. Dry dropper would work just fine. Yep.
Cool. Awesome. And the one thing that I've found with the New Zealand yarn is you want to make sure that your fly isn't too heavy to bring it down. So a lot of times I actually put floatant on my yarn just to keep it floating. So that seems to help a little bit as well. So here's that just wet emerger kind of setup as well on a tag end. Because again, you're always thinking about where in the water column are those natural bugs going to be and where should you be fishing those flies. So this is that kind of wet fly, wet emerger setup. Different slow pools, so swinging or stripping different bait fish patterns, leash patterns, sculpins, also dead drifting or kind of jigging some different streamers if that's your thing. I know we actually have a couple of instructors on Fly Fish Instruct that have never fished a dry fly. All they are streamer people. So even when it's the height of the hatch, they don't care. They just want to fish a streamer. So that might be you. Anything else to add? I know I didn't add, I should have put a Euro leader example in there, and we can add that in. I do have an example. There's so many different interpretations of a Euro nymph leader. So any suggestions that you three would like to give as far as how long of a leader? Do you use chameleon maxima, and then do your cider? and do you use tippet rings? Like, what is any tips or tricks you'd like to give as far as Euro leaders go?
I'm using mostly like a micro leader setup. So it's pretty much like I've got the 0.022 diameter fly line, and then like a little micro loop on the end of that. And I run straight 13 feet of 0.20 diameter, just micro leader. And that doesn't matter really what material. I'm playing around with a bunch of different brands right now, but I don't know, 13 feet of that, and then straight down to the tippet from there. No tippet ring. Tippet ring is heavy and it creates sag, but that's what I'm running right now, and it works pretty well. It takes a little while to get used to, but it's pretty effective.
Yeah, you know, everyone has their own different formula and idea when it comes to you know, nymph rig. So I would just say do what works best for you. If you don't want to use a tippet ring, you know, a perfection loop right at the end, you know, works pretty well as well. So just do some research, find out what works best for you. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, I do like the chameleon maxima. Yes.
Yeah.
For my butt section. Yep.
Yeah. And Kelley?
Yeah, I use the chameleon maxima, and then I have been using tippet rings, but I only use the tippet ring after I put my cider portion on. I add a tippet ring, and then from there, of course, I'm adding my tippet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm mixing it up too. I'm going to try using an 8-pound amnesia material. I'm going out Thursday, so I'm going to mess around with that a little bit too. I had a friend who did that. She sized down a little bit, supposedly gives a little bit more sensitivity. So yeah, like the other lady said, you know, you just got to play around with it. There's all different kinds of recipes online, if you will, for what people use for their leaders. So
yeah, there's a guy that lives around here. He has it's called trout bitten, and he has some pretty decent leader recipes on there. So Dominic Swintoski with trout bitten. Some of you may have heard of him. He's actually from this area, so check that out.
Awesome. And on Friday night, we can all, like, this whole weekend is all about education, empowerment, community, and asking questions. So we can all build Euro leaders together on Friday night. So, you know, I can bring some extra material with me, or, you know, and we can build leaders. If you've never built a Euro leader, or you don't even know what Euro nymph fishing is, cool. We'll talk about it, and we'll help you just learn a new technique. I'll tell you one thing for me on the Spokane River, I will be Euro nymphing at least 30 feet down in some of our deep like pools. So I actually use 2 sections of cider. And so I'll put 1 section of cider and then 9 feet of maxima, then another cider, and then go down so I can Euro 30 feet. So it's pretty, it's pretty very successful and fun way. And you can explore and find out, just like as Jamie said, what works best for you. You know, what do you feel most comfortable with, and where, you know, but I would say bring extra flies, because fishing subsurface, you're going to lose some flies. So just be aware of that. And we're going to just kind of wrap it up here. Just conservation considerations. As mentioned, United Way on the Fly is a media partner with Keep Fish Wet. So I'm actually currently working on some different curriculum to educate guides, so that way they can educate on the science-based information. So just a few Keep Fish Wet tips here. What bare hands are best. Some people wear, you know, especially in the winter, are wearing gloves or you know, in any type of sun gloves or something. So just if you're going to handle the fish, be mindful, take your gloves off. Wet bare hand will not remove that protective layer that they have on them. You know, science has shown that it's 10 seconds or less as far as air exposure goes. So that is a cumulative. So if you are picking them up, putting them down, picking them up, putting them down, so that 10 seconds is a cumulative. So just being mindful of that. And again, eliminating contact with any dry surfaces, and making sure that, you know, it's kind of in and out. So your photographer is ready, and, you know, if you're able to bend down, photos definitely look better by kneeling down. And I have a picture of that here in a sec. Holding your net under your fish, not only does it look beautiful. I love these kind of photos. I also love that you can't even see our faces because the focus is this fish, but also fish are slippery. And so it might slip out of your hands. So having the net under your fish is a good idea, to kind of catch it. Most of us are, most all of us will not be in a boat, but as far as boats go, or if you're in grass or rocks, just being mindful of not holding the fish over any of those kind of areas, just holding the fish over the water and leaning down. So this is what I was talking about, where if you're, again, physically able to lean down, if you lean down, your photographer leans down, it just is a better photo and it looks a little less awkward, I guess, than you're trying to bend over. Photograph tails and scales and eyeballs and all of the things, right? These fish are also beautiful, and the classic grip and grin is great. And we want to empower and share and just, celebrate your catch, but maybe, just thinking a little bit outside the box. So this is my girlfriend, Heidi. I know that it's a huge, some people get very upset when bananas are eaten around anywhere. And I'll tell you that we fear no fruit. So we eat bananas and do all the things. And, like any type of casting photos, loop photos, just adventure, the community laughing, all of that just adds so much. So just kind of thinking about that as far as taking fish photos. As far as COVID goes, I know that we're 3 years into this and we all are probably pretty sick and tired of hearing of COVID, but as a critical care nurse, it's still around. I'm still taking care of very sick patients. So just being mindful that we are adhering to the CDC rules and laws. I know that there really isn't anything right now, but if you do have any symptoms or if you're feeling sick, please either test and also just make the choice of not coming. We want to make sure that we keep everybody safe, everyone healthy. And as far as disclaimer goes, this weekend, as I mentioned, is all about just empowering and community and education, and there will be no drama of any sort allowed. So, if that does happen, or if you experience something, please reach out to either Kelley or myself, and we will put the kibosh on that, because that is not what this weekend is about. This is about us all getting along and having a good time and just meeting new friends and getting out there and fishing. So and just empowering each other. As far as camp contact information, you can reach out to me at info@unitedwillowfly.com, Kelley at resources@unitedwillowfly.com. But what I would also recommend is that you refer to the Facebook group first. Just ask the questions, because if you have the question, someone else probably also has that question. So just putting that in there. And then Kelley, you want to talk about last minute details?
Yeah, sure. So just a few extra things you might want to consider bringing. This isn't required. None of this is required, but maybe a camp chair if we want to go out back and have a campfire, a sleeping bag if you want a little bit extra comfort. The Godspeed will have all linen, so all bedding. You will have a pillow, you will have towels. All of that is included, which is really nice. Less for us all to lug and bring. S'mores, if you want to be a hero, bring s'mores, right? In consideration of doing an iron fly, if you have anything just around your house, I'm not suggesting anyone goes and buys anything, but fun, flexible, creative craft fly tying type materials. Think outside of the box too on this. But maybe
cleaners,
just think outside of the box. Again, this isn't required, but maybe bring it along so we can add it to the table of items that people can select from to tie that fly. Another idea that I had, again, totally optional, but since we're not providing lunches, I thought it would be nice to have a snack table. So if you want to bring along a prepackaged salty snack, sweet snack, add it to the table. The idea is if you bring something, you take something from the table. So again, totally optional.